The azure waters off Bali, usually a symbol of breathtaking beauty and a major draw for tourism from around the globe, became the site of an unforeseen tragedy this week, a stark contrast to its idyllic reputation. The normally tranquil strait was churned by unforgiving waves, foreshadowing the events to come. On July 2, 2025, a date that will forever be etched in the memories of those affected, the KMP Lestari ferry, a vessel that had made countless journeys across these waters, tragically sank in the Bali Strait. The sinking sent shockwaves through the region and beyond. The ferry was en route during a routine crossing, a passage so familiar it was often taken for granted between Gilimanuk on Bali's western tip and Ketapong in East Java. What should have been a simple trip, a short hop across the strait for commuters, tourists, and traders alike, turned into a desperate fight for survival against the unforgiving power of the sea. Passengers, initially anticipating a smooth journey, were suddenly plunged into a nightmare scenario. The vessel, succumbing to the relentless forces of nature, foundered and vanished beneath the waves, leaving behind a scene of unimaginable chaos and despair. The incident has cast a somber shadow over the region, a pall of grief hanging heavy in the air, transforming a vital route, a lifeline connecting two islands, into a site of national grief and remembrance. The vibrant hues of Bali were momentarily muted by the somber tones of mourning. Families, eager to reach their destinations, workers and merchants, carrying their livelihoods and dreams, were aboard the KMP Lestari, each journeying with purpose, each with their own story, now tragically united by loss and a shared experience of unimaginable horror. Initial reports painted a picture of utter chaos, a vessel in distress, struggling against the elements, frantic searches for life jackets, a desperate attempt to secure a lifeline in the face of impending doom, and a scramble for survival, every individual fighting for their own life amidst the pandemonium. As the ship, overwhelmed by the sea, went down, taking with it hopes, dreams, and precious lives. The KMP Lestari departed under challenging weather conditions, perhaps underestimating the severity of the impending storm, but survivors recount harrowing tales of how conditions worsened rapidly, transforming a manageable situation into a life-threatening crisis. The ferry began to list precariously, tilting further and further to one side. Panic erupted amongst the passengers, a wave of fear washing over the deck as the reality of the situation dawned upon them. And the order to abandon ship, if it was even given, was lost in the ensuing chaos and the deafening roar of the storm. As dawn broke, painting the sky with hues of orange and pink, the true scale of the disaster became horrifyingly clear, an aerial view revealing the extent of the devastation. Wreckage scattered across the surface of the water, a grim testament to the tragedy that had unfolded, lives lost to the unforgiving sea, their memories now etched in the hearts of those left behind, and a community united in mourning, grappling with the immense loss and searching for solace in shared grief. The tragedy serves as a stark and painful reminder, a wake-up call to complacency, of the vulnerabilities and inherent risks within Indonesia's extensive maritime travel network, a system relied upon by millions, demanding urgent reflection, a thorough investigation, and decisive action to prevent such a catastrophe from ever happening again. The human toll of the KMP Lestari sinking is devastating. As of July 4, 2025, 39 people are confirmed dead, with 18 still missing. Each number represents a family shattered, a community grieving. 76 survivors have been rescued, many suffering from trauma and exhaustion. The official manifest listed 133 people on board, but discrepancies have emerged. The sum of dead, missing, and survivors matches the manifest, yet reports suggest more may have been aboard. This uncertainty haunts families waiting for news and complicates rescue efforts. The true scale of the tragedy may be even greater than official numbers reveal. The accuracy of the KMP Lestari's passenger manifest is in serious doubt. Initial reports suggested discrepancies, but the deeper investigators dig, the more inconsistencies they uncover. It's becoming clear that the official record may not reflect the reality of who was actually on board that day. Families insist loved ones were aboard, desperately clinging to hope that their relatives are among the survivors. They've provided names, descriptions, and even photos, painting a vivid picture of the people they're searching for. Yet their names are missing from official lists. This absence fuels their anxiety and raises troubling questions about the integrity of the manifest itself. How could so many people be unaccounted for? This isn't just a clerical error, It goes beyond simple misspellings or data entry mistakes. The scale of the discrepancy suggests a more fundamental problem with the way passenger information is recorded and managed. It's a crisis that hampers rescue and recovery. Without an accurate list of passengers, search teams struggle to prioritize their efforts and ensure that no one is left behind. The confusion adds another layer of complexity to an already devastating situation. Unlisted passengers are a chronic problem, a recurring issue that plagues Indonesia's vast archipelago and its reliance on ferry transport. In Indonesia's ferry system, where the sheer volume of travelers and the logistical challenges of managing island-to-island transport create opportunities for oversight, often due to informal boarding and lax oversight. Passengers sometimes bypass official channels, boarding without tickets or proper registration, further complicating the task of maintaining accurate records. The result? A heartbreaking reality that extends beyond the immediate aftermath of the disaster. Some victims may never be officially counted, their stories lost in the chaos and confusion. They become nameless statistics, their families left with unanswered questions and a lingering sense of injustice, deepening families' pain. The lack of closure adds another layer of grief to their already unbearable loss, making it even harder to move forward. Identification becomes a nightmare, a painstaking and emotionally draining process for forensic teams and grieving families alike, when bodies are recovered without matching names. The absence of identification makes it nearly impossible to notify loved ones and provide them with the opportunity to say goodbye. Overloading is suspected, adding another layer of concern to the investigation. If the ferry was carrying more passengers than it was designed for, it would have been inherently unstable and more vulnerable to the elements, raising questions about safety equipment and evacuation capacity. Were there enough life jackets for everyone on board? Were passengers properly instructed on how to evacuate in an emergency? These are critical questions that must be answered to prevent future tragedies. The manifest confusion exposes systemic failures, revealing deep-seated problems within the regulatory framework and the enforcement of safety standards, at the port and in regulation. A thorough review of procedures and oversight mechanisms is essential to ensure that such failures are not repeated. Until this is fixed, until meaningful reforms are implemented and rigorously enforced, the risk of similar disasters will continue to loom over Indonesia's ferry system. The true number of victims may remain unknown, a permanent scar on the nation's collective memory, and a constant reminder of the need for greater safety and accountability. Survivor stories bring the disaster's terror into sharp focus, offering a ground-level view of the catastrophe. These personal accounts paint a vivid picture, revealing the raw emotions and desperate struggles faced by those who lived through the ordeal. They are a stark reminder of the human cost of such tragedies. Imran, a trader from Java, described a routine journey, one he had taken countless times before. He was transporting goods like so many others on board, anticipating a normal trip across the waters. Little did he know, this voyage would be anything but ordinary. The ordinary quickly dissolved into chaos as the ferry lurched violently and began to list precariously to one side. The sudden shift threw passengers off balance and a wave of fear washed over the deck. The initial confusion soon gave way to a terrifying realization. Something was terribly wrong. Panic spread like wildfire as unsecured cargo crashed across the deck, adding to the pandemonium. Containers broke open, scattering their contents and creating dangerous obstacles for those trying to move. The sounds of splintering wood and crashing metal amplified the sense of impending doom. Passengers, desperate to survive, scrambled frantically for the scarce life jackets. A desperate fight for survival ensued as people pushed and shoved, each vying for a chance to secure a life-saving device. The limited number of jackets only intensified the fear and desperation. Imran, amidst the chaos, made the difficult decision to head for the upper deck, hoping to find a safer vantage point. He clung tightly to a railing, his knuckles white, as the ship continued its alarming tilt. He knew his chances were slim, but he refused to give up hope. He joined a small group of equally desperate survivors, working together to gather debris to use as a makeshift raft. They lashed together pieces of wood and anything else they could find, clinging to the hope that it would keep them afloat. The inevitable plunge into the cold, dark water was disorienting and terrifying. The shock of the icy water stole their breath away, and the darkness made it impossible to see anything beyond their immediate surroundings. Cries for help echoed through the night, a chorus of desperation carried on the wind. The vastness of the ocean amplified their vulnerability, and the darkness seemed to swallow their pleas. For what felt like an eternity, Imran and the others clung desperately to the wreckage, their bodies aching and numb from the cold. They encouraged each other, sharing stories and offering words of comfort, trying to maintain hope in the face of overwhelming despair. They were battered relentlessly by waves and overcome by exhaustion, their strength slowly ebbing away. The relentless assault of the sea threatened to pull them under, and the cold seeped into their bones. Finally, a fishing boat appeared on the horizon, a beacon of hope in the darkness. The weary survivors mustered their remaining strength to signal for help, their voices hoarse and weak. The rescue was a moment of profound relief, but the trauma of the experience would linger long after they reached safety. The images of the sinking ferry, the cries of the dying, and the sheer terror of the ordeal would be forever etched in their memories. Imran's account poignantly highlights the woefully inadequate safety gear on board the ferry, a critical factor that contributed to the high loss of life. The lack of sufficient life jackets and other essential equipment exposed a blatant disregard for passenger safety. He also emphasizes a distinct lack of clear direction and effective leadership from the crew during the emergency. The confusion and disarray among the passengers were exacerbated by the absence of clear instructions and guidance from those in charge. His survival, against all odds, is a testament to the power of human instinct and a stroke of incredible luck. He made quick decisions under immense pressure, relying on his wits and determination to stay alive. But beyond his personal triumph, his story serves as a crucial warning, a stark reminder of the importance of maritime safety and the potential consequences of negligence. It underscores the urgent need for stricter regulations and better enforcement to prevent future tragedies. Investigators will undoubtedly rely heavily on testimonies like Imran's, piecing together the events that led to the disaster. These first-hand accounts provide invaluable insights into the conditions on board the ferry and the actions of the crew and passengers. By carefully analyzing these accounts, investigators hope to gain a comprehensive understanding of what went wrong, identify the root causes of the tragedy, and implement measures to prevent similar incidents from happening again. The KMP Lestari disaster is part of a troubling pattern in Indonesia's maritime history. Inaccurate manifests and lax safety enforcement have plagued the ferry system for decades. Past disasters like the KM Sinar Bangun and Teratai Prima revealed similar failures, hundreds unaccounted for, families left in limbo. Informal ticketing and shadow manifests are common, bypassing safety checks and official counts. This erodes public trust and leaves families without closure. The cycle of grief and anger will continue until real reforms are enforced. At crisis centers in Bali and Java, families wait in agony for news. Many search for loved ones whose names aren't even on the official manifest. Siti, certain her brother was aboard, finds his name missing, her grief compounded by bureaucracy. Families must provide proof just to have missing relatives acknowledged. The process is slow and emotionally draining, forcing them to relive their last moments together. Strangers comfort each other, united by uncertainty and loss. The sea which took their loved ones offers no answers. For those unlisted, even closure is denied. They remain trapped in limbo, victims of both disaster and a broken system. A massive search and rescue operation is underway in the Bali Strait. Naval ships, police, local fishing boats, and helicopters scour the waters, racing against time and strong currents. The search area is vast, complicated by unpredictable tides and dangerous conditions. Divers risk their lives entering the unstable, debris-filled wreck to search for victims. Each recovery is a small victory for families waiting ashore. Local fishermen, first on the scene, continue to aid the search, highlighting community solidarity. Yet the reliance on local resources underscores systemic failures in maritime safety. The search for the missing, officially 18, possibly more, continues with grim determination. Every hour that passes narrows the hope for survivors. As rescue efforts continue, investigators seek answers. Indonesia's National Transportation Safety Committee is examining the wreck, interviewing survivors, and reviewing procedures. Key questions: was there a mechanical failure? Was the ferry overloaded? Did the crew follow emergency protocols? The ship's black box, if recovered, could reveal crucial data about the final moments. Investigators will compare the manifest, survivor accounts, and physical evidence to determine the cause. The investigation will also scrutinize port oversight and safety checks. The findings will be vital for families and for reforming maritime safety standards. The hope that lessons from KMP Lestari will lead to real change. Only through transparency and accountability can future tragedies be prevented. The KMP Lestari sinking is a call for urgent reform in Indonesia's maritime sector. The cycle of disaster, investigation, and empty promises must end. Accurate digital manifests are essential. Every passenger and kilogram of cargo must be recorded. Stricter vessel inspections and zero tolerance for violations are non-negotiable. Port officials and inspectors need resources and authority to enforce safety. Ferry operators must put safety above profit, and crews must be trained for emergencies. Passengers, too, must demand safe conditions and official tickets. The world is watching Indonesia's response to this tragedy. This moment of sorrow must become a turning point for real, lasting change. Only then can journeys across Indonesia's waters be safe for all.